This is my 13th year in the district, and this was my first job out of college, so 13 years total. What made me want to start teaching is the fact that I had such wonderful educators growing up. Mrs. Sims was my 8th grade teacher, and she just really made me think differently about the world in any number of ways. I'd been going to Catholic school for 9 years, and she just really opened up all kinds of possibilities in terms of the way that I could think about not just history, which I ended up teaching, but kind of everything in general. And then in high school, I had just wonderful teachers. Carrie Mitchie is still somebody that I'm close with today, and she just is a wonderful human being, and she taught me so much about being an educator in that time and how to be a good person and how to be a good person to others, and I just kind of wanted to grow up to be like them. My first couple years were just busy, 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 right? When you first start a job teaching, even when you have great resources, like Ms. Schweihofer was already teaching world history before I started teaching world history, it's just so much to make sure that you have all the things that your students can need, and then also creating the things that you didn't know your students were going to need. I also started teaching AP world history right off the bat. And even though I had lots of AP classes in high school, I never had AP history classes, and so this was a very different experience that I was having here. And so it just felt busy, 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 trying to stay one step ahead and create things that were useful for all of my students, and also learning how to do classroom management. It's funny when I think about now, the kinds of things that I was frustrated by then are not the kind of things that I'm frustrated by now, because I just know how to head off, where the problems are going to be. My philosophy is that every kid is capable of learning. They just show us that they learn in different ways sometimes. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I have been able to be successful with kids who sometimes haven't been successful in the past, because I am more than happy to change up the way that I assess them and the way that we think about what school looks like for them. The vast majority of kids can do exactly what I ask them to do. And so when you have students who can't, it's not that they can't learn, it's just that they might need a little something different. And so that's been, I think, the thing that I've learned the most over the last 13 years is how to reach those students who might need a little something different, not only from a learning perspective, but also from an assessment. My favorite time period to talk about in history is really when we do current events, because we do current events basically the last 6 weeks of the marking period, and it's just really neat to see kids be interested in what's going on in the world, and they are able to make connections, and that's so cool for me to see that they can connect to, oh, well, this thing is happening, man, it's kind of like this thing that we learned about in class. So I love talking about current events at the end of the year, because you get to watch all those cool connections that they're able to make throughout the course of the year. And also I like them seeing it connect to their lives and how this is going to matter for them. I feel really lucky to work here. Marysville has really great students and really great humans. I know that there are lots of people that I know that have jobs that are not here, and they don't have the same quality of human beings that I do. And so I just love that Marysville kids come to school almost every day, even when we have days where we're like, well, it's a half day, they might not be here. We still have great attendance, because the Marysville kids in general like to be here and they like to learn. I think that's one of the reasons why kids like my class so much, is because we're always learning something. It's never like I used to have kids be like, are we doing anything today? And I haven't had a kid ask that in so long, because I think they know we're always doing something. And they tend to like it. They like it when they're learning something. They like when they can make those connections. And so I like watching them do those things, and I'm really grateful that so many of them want to do that. Some things get easier, especially if we're talking about curriculum. If we're not in a curriculum change, it's definitely easier because I'm not having to redo all of my stuff, which I've done multiple times now. Some things get harder, just because I have more in my own life now, right? Now that I have 2 tiny humans myself, there's not as much time in my day as there used to be. I used to be able to be here till 5 o'clock and it was no problem. And now, George Saha needs his mama. So some things get easier and some things get harder. I currently serve as the senior class advisor. So me and Ms. Holt helped with the float building. We also are in the process of planning prom. We'll be planning all the senior activities for the end of the year. I also, in my time here, have done any number of things. I ran student council for a while. I helped coach tennis. I was I can't even remember what year they were, but I have been a class advisor in the past. I've served on the leadership team. I've served on professional study council. There was a technology committee. Most of the things, if they are, hey, we need you to be on this committee, I've done while I'm here. The changes that I think need to be, it's different depending on the kids, right? Some kids, we need school to look more flexible because they just can't function in this like 8 to 3 situation. They can't do what other kids can do. We have some kids where they need to be able to take more time to be on their own. They liked online learning, you know. I did not like online learning, and I feel like most kids did not like online learning, but that's what suits their learning needs best. And so I don't know that there is one thing that we could change that would make it, that would solve all the problems, because everybody just needs a little something different, which is also the way I try to function in my classroom, that everybody needs a little something different, and we try to get people what they need. When my students graduate, I let them friend me on Facebook, even though most of you, don't do Facebook anymore, but especially those first 5 year or so kids, they're all grown up now. Lots of them have kids, and even some of their kids are my kids' age. And so it's funny to watch them be real grown-ups. And I've been invited to students' weddings, and this summer I went up to a former student's graduation from West Point, his grad party. And it was so nice to see all these nice young men who, when I had them, they were 16, and now they're like real grown-ups. They're getting married and they're getting real jobs, and it's nice to watch.